Never miss an episode of the Final Furlong Podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, here's your host, Emmet Kennedy.
Thanks for joining us for the weekend review on the podcast. I've got Adam Mills and Jaime Wrenn alongside me as we take you through the key talking points of the big horses from the weekend's racing. Smash a like on this episode if you're watching us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If I can use my mouth words correctly, you should absolutely do that for us. Let's get the insight from Adam first of all for the Supreme Novice Hurdle trial at Haydock. So we were talking about the novice hurdlers last week. We were very much of the opinion, and plenty of people who were in the YouTube comment section were in agreement with us, that it's just a very, very cloudy picture, very muddy waters. Adam Mills, we needed something to emerge, and this horse was so impressive. I think the race is now over, and 9-4, 5-2 is actually a really good bet. All Park Star absolutely obliterated them, and you said, I'm almost afraid to say what you said to me today.
No, go on, you can say it. You can say what I texted, it's fine.
Was this really a Constitution Hill-esque performance?
It was a Constitution Hill-esque novice performance. Yeah, this was exceptional. Like last week we were saying, God, this novice hurdle was a nightmare. We can't find a tip. We can't find anything. Now we've seen the light. The best horse has emerged, and it's Old Park Star, who absolutely blew them away at Haydock. That was like exceptional. And it's sometimes difficult with the times, because you can look at the time comparisons and you think, oh, well, maybe the pace was too strong or the race fell apart. But he had to do all of his own work, controlled the race, kicked miles clear. And the great thing about this meeting is you've got the Handicap Hurdle won by Brentford Hope, which I think used to be the Champion Hurdle trial a few years ago. Now it's Handicap Hurdle. But Brentford Hope's a 134 rated horse. He carried 11 stone 13. Old Park Star, admittedly, carried 11 stone 7, so a £6 difference between them. But if you run the two races side by side, Old Park Star's overall time was 4 seconds quicker. On that ground, that's somewhere between 16 to 18 lengths, perhaps. But over the last 6 furlongs, he increased it to 7 seconds quicker. He's made up 35 lengths on Brentford Hope, who's been absolutely driven all the way to line to win his handicap. So on the clock, it looks really good. The performance was outstanding. I thought he jumped brilliantly. It's going to take a serious performance to beat this thing in the Supreme, isn't it? Surely. This has to be the best novice in the UK. He stood up. He's been counted. And there'll be people who say, well, Jonbon got beaten this race and a few others have kind of won this and been favourite for the Supreme and it's gone wrong. But there are several questions that come from me. One, how did this horse not win a bumper? But more importantly now, you look at him and think, if he runs the same race that he ran at Haydock at Cheltenham, I think there's probably 90% of those in the Supreme market will never get to that level over hurdles. And this was phenomenal. If he backs this up, I straight after the race, I tried to get myself on, managed to get a little bit of 4-1, but it's not, massive stakes. If you want at much bigger prices from the December wins and things, well done. I think he wins the Supreme. I have seen the light. I think he wins the Supreme.
Was the improvement from first to second start over hurdles, Jamie, then second to third? I don't think we've seen the best of him. So if he improves on the back of this run, which given the fact that he's a Nicky Henderson horse and he excels with these 2-mile hurdlers, he really should improve, then who's going to beat him?
That's a very good question, though, Emmet. As I said, the only horse that would potentially is the one... I said back in November when I saw him at that Kempton maiden hurdle or novice hurdle when he beat Sans Delavie, I saw something in my eye that he has a kick and he has another kick again. And he blew me away that day at Kempton, and then he backed it up at Cheltenham. Now he's after going and improving even further at Haydock. I'm not really a Tynes man, but I looked at it and he just kept increasing the pace all the way up the straight. It was a fantastic performance. It could be constitutional-esque. We'll see. He'll have to back it up at Cheltenham again. He might scare away a few from the Supreme now. You never know. But I'm still saying it'll be a double-figure field. The only horse that interests me against him, but it's the experience in El Kairos, because, as I said last week on the pod, I have never seen a horse go around the corner like that and a turn of foot like that in Leopardstown for a long time. So, look, there's the grade one to come up with the DRF. There's Talk to Talk, who's the sharp eyes favourite for that. You have to see if he can stand on his 2 feet this time. Idaho's Son would be another one, maybe. There was no hurdles up the straight entry. After that, I'm clutching at straws, really, to be honest with you, Emmet. But that's 3 or 4 horses maybe against him, but it will take a really, really good horse to beat him, yeah. I really like him. I just saw something there last November at Kempton, and I goes, yeah, this is really a good thing. And exactly what Adam says, I don't know how this horse never won a bumper. But look, sometimes that could be a blessing in disguise. Yeah, he's really good. And I'd say he's a star for the future, hopefully, for Nicky Henderson. And 2 miles, will he stay hurdling the following year if he wins the Supreme? I don't think so. I think he'll go chasing. But look, he has to win the Supreme first and back it up. So, yeah, I got 16s last December a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, when I saw it at Kempton, I goes, yeah, that's the one for me for the Supreme. So, yeah, I'm happy. Did I have huge money on him? No, because it was too wide open at the time because everyone was backing my daddy Paddy. I cashed that, thank God. Maybe the forgotten horse in the race, but I wouldn't be in love with him in a battle after what I saw against Idaho's Sun. So, no, he's the obvious winner at the moment anyway, Emmet.
This time last year, people were bashing Tom Malone. Bashing him. Oh, the dross he's given Paul Nicholls. Oh, it's his fault that Nicholls is struggling. Well, I hope those same people are now congratulating Tom Malone for sourcing this horse and buying him. Because you can source the materials, but it's not your responsibility to train them. And it turns out he sourced a really good one. And now he's the favourite for the Supreme Novice Hurdle, and he's going to take a massive amount of beating. So we got to get Tom back on the show. Hopefully we will before the Cheltenham Festival, because there's a few of those horses are after emerging to be proper contenders for major races at Cheltenham. You can say that a horse can improve going hurdling from his bumpers, but that's one hell of an improvement for this horse, switching to Nicky Henderson. It's incredible. Really is. How much firepower does Paul Nicholls have for Cheltenham? No drama at this end. How much firepower does Nicky Henderson have for Cheltenham? Do you have it there on the top of your head by any chance, Adam?
Well, I'd assume, Emmet, you've got the Nicky Henderson Lucky 63 on, haven't you? Because you must have sort of Lulamba in the arc, also Gino, Old Park Star, probably Jonbon, Django By,
Active Innocence,
Impostoire.
Uh-huh.
It's got some chances. Definitely got some chances.
Yeah. Remember all those people saying Nicky was finished? It was done. Tom Malone didn't know what he was doing. What do you do now? Now what do you do with yourself? You have to go and really rethink things, don't you? Seriously impressive performance. I started to question him going into the weekend, particularly taking on Hurricane Pat, who beat him by 5 lengths in a bumper last season. And the £2 didn't make any difference to that performance. He's in a completely different league to him. That was seriously impressive. He'll take an awful lot of beating in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. This is a race that Neon Wolf won. Poor old Neon Wolf. He went on to be second in the Turner's Novice Hurdle. Jonbon was second in this race for Nicky Henderson. He's Nicky's 4th winner of this race since 2020. And Jonbon obviously went on to be second to the aforementioned Constitution Hill. Speaking of Jonbon, he came roaring back to success over the weekend as well. And we'll tell you all about that before we tell you a quick word from our sponsors, 1xBet. More than 7,000 events for you to get stuck into every single day, including the official sponsor of European champions Paris Saint-Germain, of possibly champions-elect in Spain, Barcelona, and more importantly for Irish racing, a major sponsor now at Punchestown Racecourse and a major sponsor of the Curragh as well. You can find out more about 1xBet and particularly their customer sign-up offers by clicking the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website in Ireland. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. Your game, your odds, your 1xBet. Perfect time to sign up just before the DRF and of course the Cheltenham Festival as well. Jonbon comes roaring back. If you were not cheering him on, jump in the last, you must be a flat addict, or you must be more interested in the racing at Dubai. This Alaska put them all to the sword. I think he might have broken Etait Temps in this race. He had an awful fall. Great to see him get up, but even better to see Jonbon come rallying and get back up for his 11th Grade 1 win. It really did warm the heart, that performance, Adam.
It warms the heart, and like there'll be people kind of getting a bit emotional about this performance and everything, but I did the data report and everything on this, and I came to the conclusion this is probably the best performance of Jonbon's career. And there'll be people going, oh, that's not right.
What?
But I look at this and think, so I was there last year when he won, and he controlled the pace and he kicked clear of an ageing Energumene and Edward Stone, and everyone was like, oh, very good, another Grade 1.
Don't forget that superstar Boot Hill.
Yeah, he's still plodding around here. But that's kind of that, like, you look at that race and think, well, that was what was expected, and then it all went wrong at Cheltenham, and we know that it's happened so often at Cheltenham, it's probably not going to come right again. And then Etait Temps kicked him out the way at the end of the season, and everyone was like, there's been a changing of the guard. And it looked that way. I'd written Jonbon off. I watched him at Sandown and thought, you're finished, mate. You've got nothing left. And then you watch this and you think, well, surely this is going to find him out. Because if you run this race and you look at Thistleask on soft ground, Thistleask goes really hard. Last year's race was on closer to good ground. This was soft. And yet halfway, Thistleask is miles in front of where Jonbon was a year ago. So at that pace, it's taken Etait Temps off his feet. Gidley Park's pulled up at halfway. And turning for home, I think Thistleask is like 1-2, 1-3 in running. He looks like he's got it. And to be fair, the first conclusion I drew was Thistleask is a Grade 1 horse. He's taken the step from handicaps. He's run a massive race. But Jonbon has shown something that I think some of us have perhaps given up on, that he's genuine. And he just boxed on and he's won this with stamina. His stride frequency averages really consistently in the last 4 furlongs. He's not entirely finished when he crosses the line. I know they've said about, thinking about the Ascot chase is next. I think that's a good thing. And if this race doesn't leave a mark, that looks a penalty kick. I do wonder if in a year's time, when Jonbon retires and Nicky Henderson looks back and he goes, I should have gone up in trip. And I should have gone up in trip sooner, because this horse has stamina in abundance and he's run down. Last year he beat an ageing Energumene. The year before he got done by Elixir de Nutz, neither of which you would say were at their peak, and they still did him. This year he's run down the most progressive chaser in the UK, who's had all his own way up front and set really fast fractions. If Jonbon wasn't genuine, he wouldn't do that. And the fact that he pulled him in and he got to him, it's redemption for James Bowen. I don't think he can win a champion chase. I just don't think Cheltenham's his track. I don't see how the champion chase works in his favour unless it was really soft ground. But I do think that he'll win the Ascot chase if he goes there. Oh, what might have been, Emmet? What might have been if a year ago they'd had the guts to go, could win soft races at 2 miles, but if they'd gone up in trip, he might have won a King George. It's probably too late, but this is the best I've ever seen from Jonbon.
Okay, I'm not sure I entirely agree that this is a career best performance, but having just praised Nicky Henderson, as opposed to deciding to criticize somebody else, because I'm not really in the mood to do that. But that's kind of what I was implying there. This is a repeating theme with Nicky, I'm afraid, Jamie. I love Nicky Henderson. I think he's an absolute genius, and he'll forget more about racing than I'll ever know. And he's achieved so has Paul Nicholls, by the way, achieved a far greater deal in their lives than I ever will. However, Altior should have gone up in trip. Shishkin definitely should have gone up in trip. And by the time he did, and he finished second in a Ryanair chase, it was too late. And he really probably should have won that King George. It was brilliant for Shark that he did. That Hewitt comes flying along and goes and wins the King George. What a story that was. But Shishkin should have won that. And he probably should have won it the year before. So, unfortunately, with Jonbon, we've talked about it several times in the show. You need to go up and trip. They wouldn't do it. The reason I didn't like him at the weekend is, well, why could you? He'd been absolutely crushed by Etait Temps the last 2 times he'd faced him, and you're going to go back over 2 miles again. And Nicky didn't even sound confident about it himself. So what do you do with them next? This is great. You've got your 11th grade 1. Fantastic. Well done. If you're not in it, you can't win it. Golden Ace, champion hurdle kind of stuff. But what do you do next?
Oh, he'll run in the Ascot chase, yeah, if it hasn't left the mark. And he'll run in the Ryanair. He won't run in the... But he might not even go to Cheltenham. Just put him back in the milling chase that he's won couple of times. He's won that twice, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's won the milling chase entry,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was always campaigning him. He should have been up the King George trip. I think it would suit him 3 miles flat track around Kempton would have suited him down to the ground. He just reminded me a bit of Shishkin there. Like, Shishkin should have won the race. He'd have won that King George easy. But, yeah. He's probably, that probably would be his limit anyway. I mean, 3 miles flat track around Kempton. Do you know what I mean? I don't think you'd say he'd go up to Gold Cup distance. No, I don't think so. But he's probably better off. He could have been like the likes of an Aloho or something like that. Could have won multiple Ryanairs. But does everyone want to win a Ryanair Duck? He's won around Cheltenham, but he just doesn't act at the festival. But he still finished second to Constitutional, second to Marine National last year. I don't know. He just doesn't do it on the big stage of the Cheltenham Festival. Horses just don't do it at Cheltenham. So you just have to get at the festival. You just have to get over that. He should have been up in the trip ages ago. But look, there were soft grade ones that he won. Soft grade ones with inverted commas.
Are you saying it was a Mickey Mouse race?
No comment on that.
Are you daring to suggest that was a Mickey Mouse race at the weekend? Oh, sorry, that was Barry.
Sorry about that. No, sorry about that, chat. Hold on, we clickbait that again. Can we clip that? But no, all jokes aside, he should have gone up and trip. But look, Nicky Henderson is like Willie Mullins in that respect. They're there to win the races that they think they're. It's like in Cheltenham, like it's the old case. Is Willie Mullins going to put this horse there? Nicky Henderson is the same thing. He puts the horse that he thinks he'll win is the best for the racehorse, and that's what Henderson does. That's why Jonbon's won 11 grade ones. You know what I mean? He's put him in the races that he thinks he's going to win.
Yeah, funnily enough, now he did talk about it with Altior going up on trip. He talked about it with Shishkin as well, and then didn't do it until it was well, certainly in the case of Shishkin,
too late in their career. Yeah.
I have a funny feeling this isn't Nicky. Because I don't think Nicky Henderson wanted to run in the Clarence House Chase. I don't think he wanted to go for that race at the weekend. Now, obviously, it worked out quite well.
If you had the Donnellys, maybe Owen in Jonbon, maybe he'd have kind of
might have. I think this is JP's obsession about the Queen Mother Champion Chase, which is totally understandable. It's the only grade one there that he hasn't won. And so that's one of the reasons why I think he actually might end up back in that race again. Well, hey, listen, Mashborough was cut for the Queen Mother Champion Chase over the weekend. How that makes any sense is just totally beyond me. Now, maybe he goes and roars to success at the DRF in 2 weeks, and I guess we'll see. But the obsession that JP has with winning that race is understandable, and it just might be one of the reasons. Like years ago, he bought an aging flagship Uber Alice because he might have a chance of winning it, and that was over 20 years ago. So everyone's talking about the Ryanair for him. Fine, okay, maybe. Yeah. You've got Factifile. I don't think they'll do that. I think they might.
No, I think they might skip Cheltenham. If he runs the Ascot Chase, I think he'll skip Cheltenham and go to the Melling.
He might roll him into the Champion Chase one more time.
I don't think so.
I think they could actually make a late decision. They could look at the ground and decide, right, if it's good ground, I just think he's had hard race in the Clarence House. He's going to run in the Ascot Chase in February. Be very un-Nicky Henderson-like to suddenly sort of roll 3 grade ones back-to-back like that. I suspect they'll be keeping an eye on the weather. And I think if it was soft ground, they'd take a chance because the pace would be that little bit slower. I don't think Marine Nationale is the same horse on soft ground that he is when it's good. So that might leave their options open. But there are little things that kind of that Champion Chase market is a bit weird. I know they've announced that Thistlelask is probably not going to run and he's going to go the Celebration Chase, but I still don't understand how Madgeborough could have been a shorter price than Thistlelask this time yesterday. Thistlelask has been narrowly beaten by multiple Grade 1 winner Jonbon, and Madgeborough has left a hole in every single fence that he's ever jumped. It's kind of the chalk and cheese between the two. It's a really kind of open scenario. I think Jamie's right though. I think you'll find Jonbon goes Ascot Chase, Aintree. Because you'd look at the Ascot Chase and think that's very winnable. Pictori's won that the last couple of years. You'd have to fancy Jonbon to the Jonbon that won on Saturday will beat Pictori. And then you'd look at the Melling Chase and think the way that falls between Cheltenham and Punchestown, that's going to be very winnable. You know, you could add another 2 grade 1s to the CV of a multiple grade 1 winning 10-year-old. Or you could go to a festival where he's had no luck whatsoever in 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts. You'd have to, I think you'd have to be a very brave person to back Jonbon for the Champion Chase on the evidence we have.
Yeah, I would agree. The only counter argument I would have to that is just trying to think, second guess what the McManus operation is doing. Which is probably not a very good thing to do, by the way. But to try and second guess what they're doing, they've got Factifile, so Ryanair is covered. They could always throw Mashborough into that race if they wanted to, if for some reason Factifile isn't firing on all cylinders, or if they don't feel he's quite as good enough, and maybe Mashborough almost certainly would improve for going up on trip. Again, he might bolt up at the DRF and silence us all. Marine Nationale is probably going to win that. If Marine Nationale does win at the DRF and Mashborough gets his shield dented yet again, then maybe Jonbon's your best chance of winning the Queen Mother Champion Chase, in which case you kind of you don't really have much of a choice but to go for it. What about Etait Temps? What the hell happened there? Like suddenly Willie Mullins is having winners, and everyone's like, "Oh, forget about that. That's all fine." And now the Willie Mullins bandwagon is rolling. And he had a great day at Thurles, and he had a 5-timer the last time all of us were recording together at Fairyhouse. And then this fella gets sent off nearly 3-1 on. He was favourite for the Queen Mother Champion Chase, morning of Ascot. Now he's 8-1.
Well, where do we start? The Cheltenham record is kind of like, I'm not really so sure there was that much evidence with Cheltenham in terms of the Triumph Hurdle run. I thought he actually ran quite well. No hood on first start. Willie Mullins, I think that was probably creditable. The Supreme, he didn't really jump very well. So you kind of find holes in the... There are holes in him at Cheltenham, but I think the problem is Ascot right-handed should have been his perfect setup. He went off a short price odds on favourite. He'd absolutely dominated the Tingle Creek. The only difference between the Tingle Creek and this race was the presence of Thistle Ask. And Thistle Ask set very fast fractions. And when he did that, Etait Temps looked all at sea, jumped terribly. That's a tired fall, and thank goodness he got up. But that was a tired fall. That was the fall of a horse who had nothing left to give. And what's particularly interesting is in the back straight, James Bowen asked Jonbon for a big one at the first fence in the straight. Jonbon put down on him, made an error. At that point, Etait Temps then closes up, and the two of them jump the third last alongside. You think, Etait Temps is coming. Here he comes with his run. He's going to sweep through. But then between the third last and the second last, he just completely emptied. Found nothing at all. Belted the second last. Down he goes. I don't know what you make of it, really. It was really poor. I kind of thought I'd look at the steward's report yesterday and go, oh, well, there'll be a veterinary certificate to explain what happened to Gidley Park, and there'd be a reason for Etait Temps. There's nothing on there. So they obviously didn't find anything. Maybe just Etait Temps can't consistently do it. And he has missed a lot of time. And he was brought back last year. Willie quite openly said he brought him back to pick up some prize money. He didn't think he'd win the race at Sandown. This year, the Clonmel Oil was probably, I'd have finished third. And then from there, he wins at Tingle Creek. But that was suddenly there. That's a horse who's had missed a lot of time and then had 3 runs in the space of 9 weeks. Maybe it just left a mark, and then the pace got him, and there he is. But that's what the 2-mile division is. Nothing is consistent in the 2-mile division whatsoever. Solness does it at Leopardstown, can't do it anywhere else. Marine National has to have perfect conditions to deliver. Jonbon can't do it at Cheltenham. This division is basically full of really good horses who can't put 3 good runs together. And so that's kind of where we are with it. What they do now, I assume they give him a break and they just bring him back for Sandown. Don't they? That sort of seems the obvious thing. If Willie needs prize money, he'll go to Sandown. If not, you give him a break and you stick him in at Punchestown.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with that. I wouldn't be completely averse to the idea that he does still go to the Queen Mother Champion Chase, because you did have the favourite for the race going into this. And if you just say, okay, this is a one-off, it's a bad day at the office, some of Willie's horses, the whole thing is just bizarre, really. Willie Mullins' current record, last 14 days, 35% strike rate, 18 winners from 52 runners. So it's all very healthy. All of a sudden, they've turned the corner massively so. Racing Post runners to form, 71%. Time form runners to form for the season is 58.5. And we've talked about this a few times, Jamie. The amount of odds-on favourites that he's had get beat is odd. And there just does seem to be something... There's a few things that don't make sense. Like, you wouldn't cancel that event normally. Some of your horses aren't hitting the line in the way that you would expect them to. Whereas the Willie Mullins novice hurdlers, like Sober goes and wins the Moscow Flyer novice hurdle, you can get a double-figure price with every single bookmaker, including 1xBet, no problem at all. That's totally, again, like Salvatore Mundi was favourite for the race a year ago. Mystical Power was being heavily talked up for the race and massively cut in price when he wins it. And something's not right.
Has Willie Mullins won a graded novice hurdle this season, no? I don't think he has, is he? Was that race yesterday? Is that a listed race? Was it the one?
Somebody layer the woman who's confused and all the mathematical stuff is going. That's my face. Like,
I don't think he has. Well, we'll wait for the.
He's won the graded juvenile.
Doesn't count.
Yeah. Narciso has.
Doesn't count.
Because I don't think he has. With that race, that WTO graded, that was a great race.
isn't it?
Was that a grade 3 or was it a listed race though? That was a grade 3 years ago when Monkfish won it.
Hold up.
I don't think.
Wait a minute.
Or is this an ordinary novice hurdle now, is it?
It's just a hurdle.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But Willie Munn is going to turn that around in 2 weeks' time because he's definitely one of the novice hurdle winners. Yeah, he'll win that Nathaniel Lacey.
Well, the Dublin Racing Festival is going to tell us an awful lot. That's going to tell us an awful lot. Because, and look, it always does. But, and I'm very much part of this as well. Like, you're just automatically assuming these. Like, I looked at that. I feel sick about that Clarence House Chase because I just took one look at Etait Temps and I wrote an article about it, about how he's got this really big chance and here's why and here's the statistics to prove it. And I watched back his performance at Sandown, watched back the Tingle Creek. I was trying to find some chink in the armour. And there was a part of me going, you should just put up Jonbon, because you're getting 5-1 about him. You don't normally get 5-1 Jonbon. And I didn't do it because I didn't want to look like a feckin' Egypt. And then you end up looking like a feckin' Egypt because the odds-on favourite, the horse that was 7-4 on and you're thinking this is great value, goes off 3s on, beaten when he falls at the second last.
Yeah, but he was beaten because he was put off his feet. Remember now, about a year or two ago, Etait Temps was in a conversation for a King George. So I think exactly what Adam says, because they were going for prize money last year in Sandown,
they threw him in.
They threw him in now, and by default now all of a sudden he's a Queen Mother Champion Chase contender. So I think he was found out with the quicker pace. I won't be in the signal saying that there was something wrong with him, and maybe Adam is right where he's ran a Clonmel, he's ran a Sandown, and then he's trying to back up 3 runs in a row. I think he was just run off his feet.
Yeah,
and I think it was a shock to the system for him to be in a proper 2-mile race once in his life.
Yeah.
Because they've crawled around in the Tingle Creek when he won the Tingle Creek. They've crawled around Celebration Chase compared to what they did in Ascot on Saturday. So I don't think he might not go to the Champion Chase now because his record at Cheltenham was not great, really. It looked 3rd in an Arkle, 5th in a Triumph, 5th in a Supreme. 5th in a Supreme won by Marine National. No, I wouldn't be in love with him for Cheltenham in his record anyway. I never really fancied him, Emmet. I always thought this horse should be a 2.5 miler. He won the manifesto at Aintree. So I always thought this horse is an absolute perfect tailor-made horse for King George. But the problem now is they have another horse in the yard that'll run in the race next year. So
they've got 5.
Yeah, they've loads. But the other side of it is that I don't know where you go with him if he doesn't. But I think Anna might be spot on there. Like, if he doesn't run at Cheltenham, you won't see him till Sandown. Because if Willie Munn's going for the championship, and if Willie Munn is out of the championship, he probably won't be but if he's out of the championship, he'll go to Punchestown, and he'll win at Punchestown because he's not a bad record there either.
Yeah.
So
he'd be Gaelic Warrior there.
I don't know what to do. If it was mine, I'd step him up and trip him. Think he's a 2.5 mile, 3 mile horse on a flatter track. Maybe don't know what I mean. I definitely, if he was mine, I'd put him into King George. No, I think he'd be tailor made for King George, which I thought 2 years ago, and they went back 2 miles, but he got injured as well, so you can't do nothing about that. So, yeah, I don't know where you go with him because his record at Cheltenham isn't great. So, watch the space with him, really.
We come to term on the Final Furlong podcast that just basically, if you start to contradict yourself, or if you took a different opinion, the way you see new evidence and it means that your mind changes because you're not a stubborn Egypt and you don't just continue to persist with the same thing. You see new evidence. On the basis of new evidence, my opinion is now this. And on the basis of new evidence, maybe that Tingle Creek wasn't great. Jonbon had been absolutely obliterated on his comeback in the Schlur. Clearly didn't run his race that day. Lotus Sod blew out on the back of that epic performance. And he wins. Etait Temps goes and wins. And actually, maybe the race just fell apart. And he looked great. Whereas in this one on quicker ground, where there's a horse towing him along at a really good gallop, he couldn't go. He just couldn't maintain it. And Aidan Coleman said last season on the podcast, remember he didn't come back until the Celebration Chase. He was talking about it for the King George then. And he thought that going up a trip would help him. You can get 8-1 with 1xBet if you're betting in Ireland for the Queen Mother Champion Chase now. Mashborough is as short as 4-1 with a major bookmaker. Okay. Marine National is your 6-4 favourite for the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Lotus Sod has been smashed from a double figure price down to 8-1. He's good fresh, but beaten in every grade 1 he's running. This Alaska's 16s might not run. Jonbon is out to 18s, so they must have confirmed today that he's not going to go because he had been down to 10s. somehow Sergino's still there. And Qualixios has all of a sudden been smashed from 33s. Jaime Wrenn, the dream's alive, baby. The dream's alive.
Yeah.
To 16 to 1. 16 to 1.
If you could see the first 3-0 of it, I'd be happy.
Oh, delighted. We're sitting on 33s. Now he has to survive the DRF first of all.
Up a bit more there now. Give me a bit more.
Sorry. Jamie's dining in the VIP card. I didn't
There,
realize
thanks
that.
very much.
There was me thinking business class was good and Jamie comes along with first class tickets. 16 to 1, 20s is the very best price you can get about Qualixios. Bear in mind we haven't seen him since the race a year ago. If you were going to have a free fiver on the Queen Mother Champion Chase right now, who would it be? Adam Mills.
Oh, can I not just keep the fiver?
That's what I was going to say.
Like the problem is, like, if you said to me it's going to be good ground, then I go, oh, Marine Nationale. I don't particularly like Marine Nationale, but you can't look at his form and go, well, he's going to run his race and probably get round. He handles the track. I'm not convinced that he should be 6-4 favourite because Qualixios doesn't fall at the last year, and that's a very different race. Now, I think Marine Nationale still wins, but I think he looks a lot more sexy because he's galloping up the hill on his own. If Qualixios had been a length and a half down, being driven out, you'd suddenly be going, oh, this is a bit suspect. So, I'll just send me the fiver. I'll quite happily keep it and have no bet because if it's heavy ground, Marine Nationale should be 4-1, 5-1. And probably will drift if there's rain. So you'd have to be very wary and think of that. This race is a graveyard. Mm-hmm. I have never got over having a double figure price about Defi de Soy. Jacques and Possoir stood on a stone. Altior's withdrawn from the race. He goes off 2-5. He didn't even place. Oh my God, I've never got over that. So, and you look at number odds on favourites. Shishkin didn't even finish when he was like 4-9 favourite, having beaten Energumene in the Clarence House. Jacques and Possoir got turned over by Put the Kettle On. There's lots of things that could go under the bridge, and it's not like Marine Nationale is completely bomb-proof. Made a big mistake at Christmas. It was a massive run behind Solness. Absolutely. I can totally see that. But if there's lots of rain and it's soft, heavy in places, he's got no chance, in my opinion. So I do think there's just a reason to sit on your hands. I don't see the Qualixios angle, boys. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I don't. As much as I love Qualixios, it's 5 years since he won the Triumph, I'm going to turn 40 before Cheltenham, and I feel like life is over. Well, Qualixios has been working a lot harder than I have. So I'd just be a little bit worried about, age and what's left under the bonnet. As much as I think it's admirable.
Special Tiara was 10. Moscow
yes,
Fire was 11.
He was 10, but there's
10.
a good example. Special Tiara won the race by going all out from the front. Duvan was injured, never the same horse again. There's lots of holes in these 2 mile champion chases because they've got to be perfect. At that speed, you can't make a mistake. The horse I would back, if it was non-runner, no bet, is Thistle Ask. And the reason I'd wait for non-runner, no bet is obviously the Skeltons have said, this was a hard race. He said 5 starts this season. We'll probably come back for Sandown. We've never tested him left-handed. He's not bombed out left-handed. He's just, other than a couple of maiden hurdles at Ayr, he's not really run left-handed. I think if Thistle Ask is showing them something at home, I think Dan Skelton will think, we've got to chance this. And I think the reason he'll think that is because the old course at Cheltenham really suits front runners. Special Tiara won that with a brilliant Noel Feely ride from the front. Harry Skelton can do the same thing with Thistle Ask because there is nothing in this field that can live with Thistle Ask at the first mile of a race. He wins his races with the early speed. He gets the others at it. If it was good ground and if Thistle Ask was showing them something, they'd have to try. It'd be mad not to. Absolutely mad. We're all saying this division's pretty weak. There's not much depth to it. So when you get an improver that suddenly emerges into it, you've got to have a go. But the problem is Saturday's race must surely have hurt. It looked painful watching it, let alone what it would have done at the end. So I think he's going to need a break. But if he lines up on the day and the ground's all right, I'd have a 5 on him.
3 winning favourites in the last decade. But that doesn't tell the story at all about all the odds-on shots that have been beaten in the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Good luck to Marine Nationale. Hopefully we'll chat to Barry Connell on the show again and before the Cheltenham Festival because he's always a great man to talk to. And I really admire the confidence he has in his horse. And why wouldn't he be? He was confident he'd win the Supreme and he did. He was confident he'd win last year's Queen Mother Champion Chase and he did. He then won another Champion Chase. Why wouldn't he be confident about him? And if you're going to applaud Paul Nicholls saying, "I love that. I loved beating Active Innocence. Oh, have a bit of that, you." I'm paraphrasing there. Then why would you be so upset about Barry Connell saying, "Yeah, it was a naked spoon race. Naked spoon race he won. Yeah, not worried." It's a bit of crack, lads. Don't get too worked up about it.
If it was an naked spoon race, why didn't he run his horse in it?
Because the DRF
didn't fancy another grade one, no?
Because the DRF fits better. He wants to go for that race, and he wants to support Irish racing. Does that answer you?
Easy to mouth off when you're all saying one, yeah.
I'm half tempted to throw a few quid on Only by Night at 100 to 1.
If Marie National ran Ascot the last day, he'd have been going off the track like Gidley Park at the same time. Bye.
Gidley Park, man, you may give up on that horse. You may give up on him. That's over now.
I think exactly about Tislas. Yeah, they have to have a go off the ground, goodish. But I think they're just leaving it. If it does go soft heavy, they know they have a horse in the race called with the stud, like, because he'll need a bog to have any chance in a champion chase. But would I back him for a championship? No. Yeah, you just don't know with them, Emmet, to be honest with you. And my fivers are on Quixilius, and I'm happy. He'll have to run a DRF though. If he's alive, innit? That's the main thing.
Well, they put up a video of him out in the sea having a nice little gallop for himself, and
but I couldn't care less if he doesn't win the DRF. It's only going to be.
I don't want him to win the DRF. I want him to be battered at it. I want him to be beaten 10 lengths at it, because great. He was beaten 24 lengths in it last year, and then came back to be this close to it. If he jumps the last, I think he wins. So I want him crushed at the DRF, and everybody forgets him. He goes back out to 33s. Wait till you see the whites of the bookie's eyes, Jamie. Get stuck in again. This is.
Do you not think Solness is quite a big price?
Not at this race. I think Solness could win at the DRF. I think he could win that race at the DRF.
If the champion chase was at Leopardstown, I'd be all over Solness.
Yeah,
but my reason. This is my reasoning, right? So last year he was fourth in the race. Soundly beaten, but he was fourth in the race. But that was his. Well, if you include the run at Galway in July, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was his 9th start of the season. And he followed that up with a third place finish behind Marie National, beating 11 lengths at Punchestown. This time around, it would be his 3rd start of the season. Be a much fresher horse. If there's no Thistleask, he could roll from the front. He's got a good record left-handed. He'd have to. The trouble is, I'm having a bet in a race that I've already told myself I don't want to have a bet in, because you'd have the ground and everything have to be perfect for him. But there is definitely a case in this champion chase. If you could find a front runner, you could probably find some each-way value.
Yeah.
Because the likelihood is not many are going to come past him.
Watch back the race last year at the start, right? JJ Slevin had him about 7 wide, right? And then he didn't realise there was a jump kick at the start. Do you know what I mean? Like, they go at the start, and that caught him out straight away. Do you know what I mean? Where in Ireland, they kind of gradually go off the tape a little bit faster at first, and then they slow down. Where Solness didn't realise that it goes the same pace all the way around Cheltenham. Do you know what I mean? Compared to when he gets away with it at Leopardstown. And I saw that last year. You knew straight away he was beaten after the first fence. Do you know what I mean? But I agree with you. If he got a soft lead like a Thistleask around Cheltenham on better ground, he'd be hard to peg back. All right. But he'd need a freebie. You'll know your fate after 2 fences with him. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that.
To be fair, you're getting 20s. Mm-hmm. You can't really ask for more about a 3-time Grade 1 winner. It's just that he seems to run his best races at Leopardstown, and I think please God, we'll all be there. I think he'll take a lot of beating at the DRF, and he might actually be underestimated in that race again, because people will look at Majborough and Marie National and go, oh, but he might be the one who overperforms on the day. By the way, I'm dismissing Majborough. He might come rolling back. I wouldn't be confident.
He will one day. One day, Majborough will put in a perfect round of jumping, and then everyone will go, oh, look at this machine, and he's finally fixed it, and he'll probably never do it again.
Yeah,
there's one day in every really bad jumper. That's just the way the nature is, that one day everything falls perfectly. They meet every fence on the perfect stride. And we can all agree Madrid's got an engine. The form of that triumph has worked out well. It's just, the trouble is, if you could back Madrid 4-1, and if he wins, you feel like a genius. And when he belts the second fence and Mark Walsh bounces up and down like a cowboy, can barely stay on, and you look at your 10 quid you've had and you think, oh, you idiot.
Yeah.
Because you knew that was going to happen. So it's just, you just can't back him. I don't see how anyone could back him with any confidence whatsoever.
He doesn't travel like a 2-miler. He doesn't jump like a 2-miler. The only thing you can say is that he bolted up at Punchestown last year. He won the Irish Arkle. He probably wins the Arkle if he doesn't make a mistake, but he did make a mistake. He made 2. And he hasn't shown you much this season. Unless the Mullins form is a thing. Unless we're right that there is something wrong with the Mullins horses and he just suddenly improves. But good luck to you if you're backing him. Qualixius for Jamie and I. Tisselask for Adam. We'll talk more about the Queen Mother Champion Chase in depth in hopefully upcoming Final Furlong podcasts. We're going to pay our respects to a millionaire over the weekend who was incredibly brave. First of all, this episode is brought to you by 1xBet. More than 7,000 events for you to get stuck into every single day on the 1xBet website. Proud supporters of Punchestown Racecourse and the Curragh, with more announcements to be made. An official betting partner of FC Barcelona and of the European champions Paris Saint-Germain. You can join the 1xBet site right now by clicking the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website in Ireland. Click the link, it'll take you right there. 1xBet knows the crack. Bet with your head, not above it. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. Gamble responsibly. Protectorat has had 5 wind surgeries, and it just seems to keep on improving him. He's now a dual winner of the Fitzdares Fleur de Lis Chase. He was second in this race in its first running back at Lingfield when it was on a far more conventional track, and that meeting made an awful lot more sense back then as opposed to the bizarre figure of 8 configuration that they're jumping around now. He looked like he was beaten about 3 out at him, maybe 2 out, when he gets headed, and he comes roaring on back, and Harry Skelton couldn't stop waxing lyrical about him afterwards, and why wouldn't he? He's been a fantastic servant, and he's now earned over $1 million in prize money, and could be a big help to Dan Skelton being champion trainer this season.
Yeah, he could be. I think they have to make a decision, really, because I think Windsor really suits him, and I think if you actually analyse this race and you hadn't watched the replay, you'd say, well, he was getting £4 from Resplendent Grey, and the handicapper says he's £13 better. So, why the hell wasn't Protectorat 1 to 6 on those terms, a stone in hand? This is what he does. He likes to get in front of Windsor. We've seen him do it twice. Gets others off it. Harry Skelton, I think, was playing with them. I think he was trying to fill him up at the point that the others closed. In the cold light of day, you'd have to say the track really suits him. Resplendent Grey was finishing nicely enough and probably needs further. Handstands is just not that good. And there's definitely that he's dining out on a Grade 1 success last year without really showing that he's capable of repeating the effort. The other two, Matata's just a bit of a nutcase, and Eldorado Allen is a wonderfully admirable horse, but he's well past his best. I think for the Skeltons, they have to look and think, Protectorat won this last year, went on to finish 4th in the Ryanair, 2nd at Aintree, had a good season. But I think there's enough evidence now to suggest he's probably not going to win another Grade 1. But what Dan Skelton could look at is think, if we don't go to the Ryanair, there's plenty of soft options around where we can rake up some prize money with this lad. Because at Grade 3, Grade 2 level, he's pretty lethal. He is pretty lethal. This is his level. He's really good when he can dominate. Fantastic horse. You'd love to own him. I don't think he'll win another Grade 1. I don't want to take anything from that, but if they could find races like the race at Kelso that Grey Dawning won, there's a few other options for him. Just incredibly admirable. And if Dan Skelton does win the Champion Trainers title, it'll be because he takes horses like this and he campaigns them correctly. There's at least another 2 Grade 2s in him if they can find the right options.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I also agree with the handstands is not much good. It's disappointing really because he started this season as a very exciting horse, but maybe Windsor didn't suit him. Resplendent Glory could be a national horse, but I would imagine Irish Grand National because you need to be Gold Cup class, borderline Gold Cup class to win a Grand National these days, which basically means you need to be trained by Willie Mullins and not quite good enough to win the Gold Cup at Cheltenham because Phil Smith tinkered with the race so much you've turned it into the Gold Cup 2.0. So Irish Grand National maybe for Resplendent Grey, Jamie.
Yeah, it was the first thing that came into my head after the race. Resplendent Grey Irish National. I think he's not good enough for an English. Maybe a Scottish Grand National, maybe something like that. Yeah. That's about what he's worth. Maybe go back and win that race at Sandown again at the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? Like he won last year.
Yeah.
So Protectorat, admirable horse. You can't deny what a good horse he is. Running Gold Cups. Was he third or fourth in a Gold Cup? Won a Ryanair. He's won this twice. Over $1 million prize money. He'll go to Cheltenham. He probably might go to Melling Chase again against Jonbon. He could end up with Sandown in that Oaksy Chase at the end of the season or something like that. And I'd say that'll be it then, maybe even one more year. But you can't deny what a good horse he is. And look, he's good at 2.5, quite maybe 3. He's better obviously going left-handed, but look, looks like the figure 8 can go anyway. But no, he's a good horse. Matat, I don't know what to make of that. I just don't understand Matat. Matat looks unreal 1 minute. But I think I've got the thing about Matat is that I think everybody's saying that he is form on soft ground. I think he's all his best form is in good ground. Like last day of the good ground at Cheltenham, he rocked it. You know what I mean? He was only beating Il Rodot, who runs in the same race at Cheltenham all the time. But he looked way better on the better ground over 2.5 miles. I don't know. I just don't understand that horse, to be honest with you.
Don't think you're supposed to.
No.
He's an enigma, Jamie.
Yeah, after that, I don't know. It's just one of those races, really. That look, Protectorat showing what a nice horse he is, and that's about it, really. Emmet wouldn't be getting excited about it, anything else.
Well, there is one other race I want to talk about at Windsor, but just before we do, you had some stats about they had these grand plans for the Winter Million Series, Adam. It was going to attract all the top horses from Ireland and multiple 150 horses. What are the actual stats for the Winter Million Series?
I think the stats show that you've got 2 or 3 horses rated higher than 160. I think L'Impresse is the highest rated horse that they've ever attracted to this, he was rated 169 or 170 when he ran in 2024. I think the problem with the track, and I can probably put this in the comments on the YouTube if people want to look at it, there's a pace chart that we have that just shows how fast the horses are going. In a chase, it normally kind of like gentle little waves, and then you have a little sprint sort of when the pace lifts and it will degrade. In Windsor, it's like a roller coaster. It's up and down like this. And if you look at Protectorat, part of it is Harry Skelton trying to hold on to his horse. But it's just the nature of the track. It's very tight bends. Some of the fences kind of are closer to the bends than maybe you might want them to be. And it's just awkward. And I think there's lots of things. The idea is fantastic. Let's get a festival in the middle of winter. You've seen with the DRF how it can work. But the problem is this comes 2 weeks before the DRF. And it comes just over 2 weeks after Christmas.
And 1 week before Cheltenham Trials Day.
Exactly. You're not going to attract the best Irish horses because the best ones will have run at Leopardstown over Christmas and they'll want to run at the DRF. You know, you can't really run in the middle of January to do that. I also think there's a need to kind of look at the number of handicaps that you have. And if you're going to have Ascot, Clarence House on this weekend as well, it's great to put the prize money on. And you saw some of the handicaps are really competitive. They have big fields. There's some nice progressive winners. You've got the right horses from the UK. But if you really want this to develop into a winter festival, its location in the calendar needs to be looked at. The layout of the track needs to be looked at. And I just genuinely think if I had a horse that was going to go to Cheltenham, where would I want it to prep? And I don't think Windsor would be at the top of the list in its current scenario because there's no real like-for-like comparison. It's not particularly undulating. It's got tight turns. It's a jumping test to a certain degree, but it's also more important about can you lay up with the early pace. It's just very difficult. And I think we're also still learning. We've only had jumps racing at Windsor for the last 2 years. I think this was only like the 7th or 8th day they've had of actual jump racing. It's a new thing for the jockeys. A lot of jockeys, and Harry Skelton did a really good interview today throughout the races when they were trying to really drum up that, like, oh, you and Sean Bowen had a fight. And Harry was like, well, we had a disagreement. It wasn't really a fight. And I think Harry was saying, like, we're both caught out by the track because there's kind of a dog leg in the straight. We're all kind of thinking there's more room than there is. Maybe in time it will develop. But I just think there needs to be a decision made. I would either move it back and have it around New Year's Day and try and get a bit of space between this and the Cheltenham Festival and between the Cheltenham Trials, or you've got to really have a rethink about how you want to campaign this. It's a brilliant idea. It's the right investment to be making. But at the moment, it just feels like this could be so much bigger if we just got it in a better place in the calendar.
There used to be a real romance about the figure of 8 tracks and like bringing those back, obviously Fontwell, but bringing those back. And I kind of think that Windsor is an example of why it's a nice idea, but no. So listen, well done to everybody involved in the Winter Millions. You've tried something. And you're providing an awful lot of prize money. And that's great. And maybe it'll get more support. Certainly, this is a much bigger success than, I don't know, Racing League or
Friday Night Light.
Oh, Constitution Hill is going to be participating in that. I'll have you know.
Oh, the Friday Night Lights. We have to put on more prize money.
Yeah, don't forget your toothbrush too, where Megan Nichols will be in the stands in amongst all of the raving lunatics. I mean, the young people.
What do I need a toothbrush for? I'm confused.
Yeah, where is it? There we go. Finally.
No, really, I'm sorry. I'm not with that joke. Why do we need a toothbrush?
The Chris Evans show from the 90s. That's basically what this thing is. The Friday Night Lights is basically don't forget your toothbrush too.
Yeah. Don't forget your toothbrush.
It's gonna be a design. It's gonna be a clown show. An ultra clown show. But hey, I guess we're down with the kids. Deary me. Prove to me you know nothing about what the young people want by coming up with an idea like that. Okay. The only other race at Windsor I wanted to talk about was... Do we have the sound effect? We don't have it, so I have to do it myself, do I? Okay. We've done Interesting Ride of the Week. I just think this is Interesting Race of the Week. And in this, we can talk about Salver having yet another TriCaster where he beats the exact same horses in the exact same order as the Sandown race. But I'm not really interested in talking about Salver, because Salver is just Jello 2.0. They'll have a lot of fun with them. You'll keep winning those grade 3s and grade 2s, but you put them into grade 1 company and no. Wait out. Jericho de Repene and Moon Rocket are horses that I think Jaime Wrenn will improve for the return to a more conventional track and possibly the application of cash.
Really? Did you see that all for your own two eyes? Jesus. And people give out about Nico de Pointville. You might as well throw down the anchor now. Like, Jonbon is a champion jockey, and he knows how to get a horse handicapped as well, doesn't he? Jesus. Yeah. I love the old push along by Jonbon, right? And then all of a sudden it sweeps around that lovely far bend, like Adam describes it, lovely sweeping bends, and comes into the straight and it goes, oh no. And then the vet reported he lost his shoe.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
Well,
he did,
yeah. What can you do?
He did. Stays under 145. He's going to be very hard to say very hard to beat, but he's definitely one of the bright lights for the National Hunt Chase if he stays under 145. Jericho de Repene kind of had a similar campaign last year, and then came second to Daddy the Great in the Etait Temps. Now is qualified for the Jack Richards Ultimate. Kim Muir, if it comes down a few pounds, is the British handicapper.
That's the problem. There's absolutely no way he's going to get into the Kim Muir because he's on 148 now.
But the only reason he gets into the Kim Muir is that they don't want the Irishman in the Kim Muir. Am I right? Do you know what I mean? That's what it is.
I cannot imagine Jaime Wrenn, the British handicapper, yet again giving a JP McManus horse the handicap rating of 145 after I know the race. I can't see them doing it.
The horse I think that he'd win the race with won't be allowed in it because the British handicapper sees Mark because he was third in the Stairs Hurdle last year.
The Wall Park.
Oh, he's Mark Ireland's 145. Oh no, we'll stack 3 pounds on him.
The Wall Park.
But sure, you win a handicap in Ireland, you get a stone. In England, you win a handicap, you get £3.
Yeah. Are you talking about the Wall Park?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
He's an absolute stone cold certainty for a handicap. I just don't know which one.
Yeah, I don't know which one, but look, if you got
he's another one who's going to improve for the return to a conventional track and the sudden.
Correct. Yeah. But Jericho de Repene, I'd say running. If I had to guess, Nicky Henderson won a few ultimates, maybe there. He could end up with Jack Richards, but I think the ultimate maybe is for me at this present moment in time. No, but he'll get it right one day, and no one will back him, and that's the problem with him. Moon Rocket's the same. Kim Bailey's one of the ultimates. Last one was about County Classic, though. Yeah, that was only around for a trot for the ultimate as well. You know, Bailey likes the ultimate, so that's his ultimate horse. It was a very interesting race. I will say that. Salver, what you do with Salver, soft ground, he needs soft ground. And
great twos and great threes. Mop him up. He's not a great one horse.
Yeah. No. Very interesting race going forward. He might have maybe one Cheltenham Festival winner out of that lot.
Could be two.
You never know, but I think definitely one.
to be fair to Jericho de Repene, he did come good in the Temps. He just happened to bump into a stablemate that was given a brilliant ride on the day and just was a little bit. Nicky Henderson had said in a Cheltenham preview, he's a cheeky one for the week. I was like, oh, thanks very much. I'll put him up. Thank you. I'll steal that, Nicky. Thank you, because he'd run some interesting races, shall we say, and then suddenly he comes good on the day under Brian Hughes. But Jericho de Repene proved that day that he stays. If you stay 3 miles over hurdles, he's obviously gone on one of the listed races at Punchestown as well. So the ability is there. He's just a monkey, Adam Mills. So him, weighed out, they're very high on the shortlist for me. Moon Rocket is an intriguing one as well.
Yeah, the ride on weighed out is a little bit kind of weird. He's off. I don't understand he can be off the bridle.
He wasn't suited by the track, Adam. I'll have you know.
Then you jump a fence and you run the fastest furlong in the field 4 wide around the turn to get to the front. That seems a bit like, were you tired? What was going on? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe just was the track didn't suit. Definitely some eye catchers. Jericho de Repene has got to get some weight back from the handicapper. I don't see they have a choice. If I was JP, I'd be going, no, I'm expecting at least £2 back for this, because Salva's given me £5 and a 12-length beating, despite the fact that I'm rated a pound higher than him. I think Salva should be campaigning for the Betfair Chase, and they should just hope and pray that it's soft ground at Haydock in November. I think he might win that. I think there's a case to be made for Jericho de Repene getting down to 145, and if he is, maybe the Kinmure. And quite frankly, I don't care what Jaime Wrenn says. The Irish being punished for the Kinmure, yes. Because 2 years ago in the Kinmure, you didn't just take the handicapper's trousers down. You pulled them down, ran them up a flagpole and set them on fire and still backed it into 13-8. So it doesn't really bother me if the Irish feel that they're being...
I know the way you're thinking, yeah. I know the way you're thinking, Adam Mills, yeah. Future Gold Cup winner.
Exactly.
Coming back
as somebody backed Git Maker in that race to finish second, I still feel that cheated me, really, because my horse was trying and yours wasn't. There we go. So there's definitely something here. Doyen Quest interests me, not because I think Doyen Quest will win at Cheltenham, but I do wonder if they'll run Doyen Quest as a pacemaker for one of their others. And they might have a look at a race like the Plate or the Jack Richards and throw Doyen Quest into that with a view to trying to set the race up for something else. You could definitely make a case that everything in behind Salva is very well handicapped. Salva is going to get another rise. He's going to be in the 150s. I just think he's ground dependent. Kempton clearly wasn't going to suit. And if you look back through the majority of his form, it's come where there's been a bit of cut in the ground. He was third in a Triumph Hurdle when it was heavy ground behind Madgeborough. All of his best form has come when there's cut in the ground, when the pace is not that desperate, and then he can come through them because he really handles the conditions. Really nice, progressive horse. I think he improved with the chickpeas. I think he's getting better. But you'd kind of have to know with Salva that he's going to get those exact conditions. Soft ground, something to aim at. He might get that at Haydock, but I don't think there's going to be too many grade ones where he's going to get those conditions. Okay,
a couple of novice hurdlers to talk about, or at least a potential handicapper. Although just before we started, Jamie was telling me that actually each of their own is going to be supplemented for the grade 1 at the DRF, which is fair enough, I guess, for Barry Connell after making a mockery of his drop in grade and first start in handicap. He absolutely bolted up under Sean Flanagan. County Hurdle would be more my thinking, and qualifying him for the County Hurdle can happen at the DRF. And if he happens to win that race, then I guess you've got a Supreme Novice Hurdle candidate, All Park Star aside, in an open year. But I'd like to think that he's a horse that'll be headed for the County Hurdle, Jamie.
How many runs does he have over hurdles, Emmet?
Doesn't he have?
Is that he's 4?
Is he already qualified? That's his third, yeah. So he needs the DRF to qualify. He needs another one. He needs 5. There's that pesky jockey club with their 5 runs for Cheltenham. I can forget about that. So he's going to have to go for the Supreme.
I don't think he'll go to Cheltenham if that's the case with the 5 runs now, because then he'll go into the grade 1. He'll get stuffed in that, and then he'll run in a handicap, maybe at Punchestown, I'd say. That'd be each to their own, or Fairy House or something like that. But he needs soft leads to be seen at his best. Do you know what I mean? Now, Flanagan gave him a good ride yesterday, and they're exploiting the handicap mark, and fair play to them. But for him, for a grade 1, not a hope. He's the pace angle in the grade 1 novice at the DRF, because he'll go out in front. But I'd be backing him for that. No, I'll wait till he runs another handicap at Fairy House or Punchestown, but he's going to get a massive price for that. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, that's all I can say about him. Look, they try to hold him up in the ride bond behind Cocktail Brute and Blade, and he just didn't like it. He's just an out-and-out front runner, and you knew after Hurdle yesterday he was going to win because they gave him 4 lengths at the start and it was all over then.
Yeah.
Simple, like, you know what I mean? No, I wouldn't be loving him for a grade 1, no.
No, I wouldn't be either. I would have been really interested in him for the county, but that stupid 5-run rule. It's just such ridiculous nonsense. Part of the reason of having a bet on a handicap hurdle is backing a novice that you think is going to be rated in the 160s or at least high 150s, and they're running off a mark in the 130s. And is that horse going to be able to fulfill that potential? But
the British handicap read him. Do you know what I mean? Like 5-run state man rule. Yeah.
Well, sure, it was the state man rule, and then it was the absurd rule. You know, you have to have 4. Actually, sorry, now you have to have 4 runs. You have to have 4 runs.
Yeah.
Wait, no, actually, you have to have 5 runs. It's like a child trying to reinvent the rules so they can win.
Full statement, cheating.
That rule is brought in specifically for horses like this.
UK, no?
Of course we do.
Yeah,
we're just going to keep going, and then eventually we'll win the Presbury Cup, and then we'll change the rules.
Oh, you mean the trophy that you made a big thing about because the Irish horses start winning the championship races, but you'll keep Ireland in their place by going, well, you might win the Queen Mother Champion Chase, but we have the more. Oh, wait. Oh, no.
Well, look, whatever happens, we'll always have the Ultima. But there is the case. Like,
by the way, Britain will probably win the Presbury Cup this season.
People give out about this statement rule, but to be fair, you have to remember that the majority of the connections who own horses who run in handicaps are syndicates, smaller owners. They're not the JP McManus of this world. They're not the Rich Richies. They're not the Dudleys. You cannot have a situation where a grade 1 performer like Stateman comes along and robs these syndicates of the chance to win a handicap. You've got to make it fairer, because otherwise those at the grassroots of the game will lose interest. If I owned shares in a horse and I wanted the chance to win at Cheltenham, I wouldn't care if I won the Boodles in the steward's room. It wouldn't matter to me whatsoever. I'd be like, you know what? I owned a Cheltenham Festival winner. What you can't have is a small connections who've campaigned their horse honestly being punished by the fact that someone else has played the game with a grade 1 performer. This rule is there to stop grade 1 horses having 3 runs out the back of the telly in an Irish maiden hurdle and then rocking up at Cheltenham. Galopin de Champs is a great example. He was 100-1 at Leopardstown, rocks up in the Martin Pipe and wins, goes on to win 2 future Gold Cups.
Yeah, who was second to him?
You're not telling me they weren't playing the game.
Who was second to him? Langer Dan was second to him.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that, but the whole system has to be there to give the smaller connections a chance.
So what you're saying to me is the next time Willie Mullins finds a horse that was beaten in a couple of novice hurdles in France, falls first time out of hurdles, falls again or gets unseated, and then ends up with 5 runs, gets to the county hurdle and wins. Actually, it's 6 runs now to qualify.
No. Because that's different. If the horses actually had a couple of runs in France, they will have been trying because the prize money's half decent. You have to meet it in the middle. 3 runs was probably not enough. To be fair,
they went to 4. I had no problem with the 4, but going to 5 for now.
I just think you've got to.
And you're just going to end up with Willie Mullins horses that ran in the Triumph Hurdle.
You nearly have to. Honest to God, no, I'm not messing. You nearly have to start your horse out in Clarny in May or Galway in the summer to have any chance of winning. Regardless, I know what you're saying.
I agree with you.
And sorry.
Small syndicates have no chance of winning the Cheltenham now.
Not a hope. Not a hope. How does a Paul Nolan horse qualify for the county hurdle now? A novice hurdler. How does a Barry Connell novice hurdler qualify for the county hurdle? How do these small owners get in there?
In the summer.
They don't.
No, but this is where it comes ultimately, and it will never happen.
Oh no, there was no thought put into this other than we can't have Gavin Cromwell winning the Kim Muir. We can't have Gordon Elliott winning the Coral Cup. We can't have Willie Mullins winning. Well, now no one can. Well done. It's just going to be Willie Mullins with a horse that wasn't quite good enough to win the Triumph Hurdle. That's going to win the county hurdle now. A la Cargizi last season.
Gordon Elliott loves winning Martin Pipe because he learned under Martin Pipe. He doesn't even have a horse though, a novice. He can't run in the bloody race because they don't have enough runs. Remind me, Jamie, who won the Martin Pipe last season? Gordon Elliott.
With a horse that did what subsequently? Finished second to Lossiemouth in the Grade 1 Aintree Hurdle, right? And is unbeaten since.
Yeah, but the only reason he got the runs in is well because Wrenn is a juvenile. Do you know what I mean?
Who won the county hurdle? Oh, that's right. Cargizi, trained by Willie Mullins, right? And
2 juvenile hurlers from the previous season.
Who won the Coral Cup again? Oh, that was right. It was Willie Mullins, wasn't it? Oh, that's right. Genius Jockey Club. Absolute genius. A pure cinema. You've done it again. Well done. Geniuses. But yeah, the small owner will definitely be able to get their very exciting novice hurdler that they're turning down bids for from JP McManus under pressure to say no to the Donnellys or whichever other big high profile owner is coming in with a massive 6-figure offer, maybe even a 7-figure offer, because the dream of winning a handicap at the Cheltenham Festival, oh sorry, you don't have enough runs to qualify. And if you do get enough runs, you're going to be borderline grade 1 class and you'll be weighted out of it, so you can't actually run in the race. So now you have to go and take your chance in the Supreme Novice Hurdle, where you'll be crushed by the aforementioned Willie Mullins, Henry de Bromhead, Gordon Elliott, Gavin Cromwell.
But it's gotten that bad. The races are actually, the handicaps at Aintree are more competitive than ones at Cheltenham now, because there's no rules and regulations.
Well, so this is where it is wrong. You just need to have one set of rules. And really,
I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree. It should be one rules across the board.
You lock the BHA and the HRI in a room and you say you're not coming out until you agree on a universal handicap system and a universal qualifying system. It will never happen.
Hold on, we agree on that. But how ludicrous is it that the Jockey Club have a system in place where Joyous can win the Betfair Hurdle and then isn't qualified to run in any handicap hurdle at Cheltenham? Genius! Genius!
But then there are solutions that need looking at. They've tried to look at the Potemps. It still doesn't really work.
No,
the Potemps simply has to be win and you're in, no matter what your rating is, win and you're in, because then people will be trying in a Potemps race. And it's like you can see the certain horses. Jordan's is a good example. You know, I think if I was being really harsh, I'd say the jockey miscounted and finished 5th when he probably should have finished 4th, and they got it wrong. And this is kind of the ludicrous thing. Like in the old days, you'd watch that Potemps qualifier over Christmas. And Davy Russell would be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He wouldn't be that obvious about it. He was just, he was incredible at it. If you needed to qualify in 4th, he would finish 4th.
But that's what they would say. The reason it was 6 qualifiers was because you had 5 fingers and the other hand held the reins. So that's just how you have to count them. It's just that it's never going to change. But there is a weird scenario. How can you have the Cheltenham Festival exempt and having different rules to the rest of the season? That just doesn't make any sense. Because the Irish are doing too well at it. Yes, but then the problem is you go too far. As I say to my kids, feel free to cheat at school, but don't get caught.
Anyway, Mighty Park, who's related to get back on track, to King George winner and Gold Cup runner-up, Might Bite, was massively impressive on his hurdling debut for Willie Mullins, and in behind was Rock Dino, who's like 75 lengths back in second place, and apparently he's held in decent regard as well. But can you actually put some context on this performance, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, this is on the one hand, you've got a soft lead, so you don't have to bear that in mind. He's won by 38 lengths. Ruby Walsh went on one of his shows he does, and he said, oh, well, Rock Dino's really good, and he's got an official rating of 134. And I'm like, well, in Ireland, he's got a rating of 134. But the BHA changed the rules 4 years ago and said, right, we'll take the French handicap rating in kilos and we converted £2 per kilo instead of 2.2 because the old system just was broken. The French handicapper sometimes gives horses ratings that, if you use that system, would be like 100. Thalem's peak rating was like 192, which is quite good for a stayers hurdle horse. So they changed its system 2 to a kilo, so that would be 124. If Rock Dino ran in a handicap hurdle in the UK, he'd have 124. But that being said, he's still a 124 rated horse, and Mighty Park beating 38 lengths. And there's holes in the time, and the couple of the handicap hurdles finished a bit quicker than he did. But I do feel like he just got galloping, and nothing else could even live with him. This has got to be a good horse to win a maiden hurdle by 38 lengths. Even if you say it wasn't the deepest maiden hurdle, and the second is probably not quite as good as they might think he is. His French form suggests to me that the French handicap has got him right. 124, 125 is about right. It's decent type, should improve when he goes chasing. But if that's the case, Mighty Park's absolutely battered him. This is obviously a bit of a tool. I think there is a little bit mentally, we're all thinking Willie's going to have a grade 1 novice hurdler. It's coming. It's coming. There's going to be one that's going to emerge. So when one wins like this, we go, wow, there it is. And actually, it might just be he's very good in a year when they're slightly below average. Who knows what they do now? It's quite late in the season for him to have made his first start. I mean, you'd assume they try and get one more run in him. JP will throw him in the novice hurdles. Personally, I looked at him and thought he's an Albert Bartlett type. But I'd imagine they're probably thinking more Turners in their heads.
Okay, and there's another Albert Bartlett type that a few people in the YouTube comment section were quite excited about before the weekend, Jamie, and that's Espresso Milan, who then comes along and maintains his unbeaten start for Willie Mullins and wins a race that Monkfish won a couple of years ago. You can't have him for the potato race, though.
No, I watched him yesterday, Emmet, and look, he took ages to get going. Like, I know the potato race is, we'll call it the potato race, might as well. The Albert Bartlett, sorry.
Excuse
my French.
It's the potato race. If they want to send us loads of bags of crisps, then absolutely we'll call it the Albert Bartlett.
Potato race.
And we have great respect for Albert Bartlett, but Lydia Hislop and I agreed years ago that we will refer to it as the potato race, and Lydia Hislop and I are bounded by that, so we're going to continue calling it the potato race. Proceed.
As Tommy Tiernan says, when we sent the missionaries over to Africa, it's not a potato between them. But anyway, the next thing about Espresso Milan is that, no, I just didn't see it, Emmet, to be honest. I don't think he'll have a kick at the end to finish out the race in the Albert Bartlett that you need to win the Albert Bartlett, by the way. They say it's a slow race. You'll get there and then you have to go again after the last. I think he's just like a 4-mile boat, in my opinion. I think the more distance, the better for him. What I saw yesterday, and it was a nothing race yesterday as well. Like, do you know what I mean? American Jukebox won a bad maiden hurdle around Tramore. His form isn't great. Nah, I wouldn't be getting excited. Years ago, yeah, it was a better race years ago, and it was later in the season, wasn't it? It was never that. Yeah, it was because they moved it to this meeting. Nah, I wouldn't be getting excited over that. I think there's better horses in Willie Mullins' yard for the Albert Bartlett compared to him, anyway.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I wouldn't be slamming anybody who's backed him, though, at a pretty decent price, Adam. Do you have any points on Espresso Milan?
Not massively. I think Espresso Milan will need it to be one of those Albert Bartletts where it is an absolute end-to-end gallop, probably on a bit of soft ground, where it's a real test of stamina, because he looks like he stays forever. Mm-hmm. If it was on good ground and it developed into a bit of a sprint, I just think he'd be outpaced. I don't think you can learn a lot from that race at Turles that we didn't necessarily already know. He's clearly a really strong stayer. He looks to me like 2 or 3 years down the line, he'll be running in the Grand National. That's the kind of shit that he makes to me. And that might be enough to win a Bartlett, but you'd be needing certain conditions, certain pace, and certain sort of the race to pan out in a certain way for him to do it. And I'm just not sure he will.
Stay away, Faye came roaring back to form at the weekend. The dream's alive. The dream's alive. Speaking of potato race winners, I was thinking of Corbett's Cross, who was right there in contention coming to the last, and he had a turn of foot. Poor old fella. What are you shaking your head at, Jamie?
Thanks for reminding me, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was...
No, to be honest with you, regardless if he jumped the last, I think he was beaten anyway.
I don't, funnily enough, but maybe he was, and maybe that's why he jumped out.
Oh, he was beaten, all right. He was beaten.
Okay, but you know what? You're right. It's easier for us to accept that he was beaten.
Another thing that the BHA got fantastic, you're right. You put a gap between the rail and the hurdle, like, you know, in the wing, like, well done there.
I see. This is why I don't want to talk about the industry anymore in terms of people running it. I want to talk about horses running around fields. I don't want to talk about it anymore because it's a clown show. That's an insult to clowns, actually. There's just no point. Oh, who's going to be the CEO of the BHA? Who cares? What does it matter anymore? Do you really think it's going to change? We've been talking about this for years. They do nothing.
It's the part in The Simpsons where Homer says to Marge and the kids, I'm going off to clown college. To Krusty the Clown.
I thought you were going to say, actually, the BHA board took the advice they really took Homer Simpson's advice to Bart and Lisa to heart. And the lesson is, boy, never try. That's the lesson. Never try. Okay. Any other business from the weekend that we should talk about, Adam Mills?
I've got a couple. I mean, Jade Grooves, you won at 1 to 7. Don't think we learned anything there other than she can jump. And I'm always cautious when horses win at that short a price. Is kind of like, you can all jump when you're under no pressure whatsoever. It's completely different. And I looked at her and others and think she's probably a little bit short. The one that really went in the tracker for me was a Skelton horse called Live Conti, who I really liked last year, but they dodged the Triumph. The run at Windsor on Friday is a qualifying run. I don't know how to word this without getting myself in trouble, but he was out the back of the telly in a race where it was obvious the pace was kind of not that strong, and then he just sighed through the field, didn't make that much progress, then ran on again, finished third. I just think he wins the county hurdle. I really think he wins the county hurdle. I thought he was a grade 1 horse last year, and he showed that as a juvenile. And I just looked at that run and thought, this is such a massive step forwards, and he could well have won the race had he been ridden differently. Maybe that was their plan, was to settle him out the back and try and teach him to come through horses. There's a big day in this lad. He's very well handicapped. The handicapper can't really touch him for that third place finish on Friday. I like to keep the kind of list of what would I think will be a handicap plot, and this is definitely one. Now, whether they really roll big dice and decide to go like Imperial Cup route or maybe the Moor Battle at Kelso, because I think that's still got the bonus. There's plenty of options, but there's a big day coming in this lad, and it's just a question of watching their handicap hurdle entries for the Betfair Hurdle at Newbury, the Moor Battle, the Imperial Cup, the County. I just want to have him on side because I think he's got £7 or £8 in hand at least. That would be my one big takeaway from the week.
Wash your mouth out with soap. I'll have you know it's the William Hill Hurdle.
Oh, my apologies. The William Hill Hurdle. Sorry. It used to be the Betfair.
Yeah, I don't care. We're sponsored by 1xBet, so it doesn't matter to me. But we should be. I don't think anybody really wants to be mentioning Betfair anymore, so it gives us the opportunity to go William Hill Hurdle from now on and just condition ourselves to say that over and over and over again. They have the favourite for that race, Let It Rain, but he's entered for it. Let It Rain's an interesting favourite for that race, having been third in the Ascot Hurdle. I was going to say Carl Cup, because he's by the same sire as Cocoa Beach, Iroko, Kitzbühel. I just wonder if going up and trip will also unlock improvement from him, but I thought he was a fascinating one as well. And we hadn't talked about him beforehand. So whether it's the county or...
And he's qualified.
And he's qualified. Yes. Yes, he is qualified indeed. Jaime Wrenn, anything else for you?
I had 3. Same trainer, first race at Windsor, Monegaro, won by 3/4 of a length, could have won by more. Needs another run. He's 4 runs now as a novice hurdler. That was 3 miles. Don't know what kind of mark he'll get after that. Second, obviously, in the bumper last year at Ascot to win Beneath My Wings, and that got me onto him third in the Persian Moor. One more run, to me, could be Martin Pipe or a Carl Cup horse, to be honest, Joe, because he's not going to qualify in a Pertemps qualifier. Now, if he goes in a Pertemps qualifier, fair enough. Maybe that race at Exeter, maybe he might get qualified to catch some Derry running that last year and then ran third in the Pertemps. Maybe that's the next protocol for Monegaro, but he's hugely interesting for a handicap at Cheltenham. The Irish Avatar in the bumper at Navan, I thought visually he was very impressive, but you'd have to see him again. And I love the run of, she's definitely a player in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, the Jamie Snowden horse, Le Conquer. She ran in the Grade 2 open hurdle at Ascot. And it was a massive run. First time out of novice company. I thought she'd nearly got there. She was backed off the board to win the race. She was 9-1 during the week, and I backed her 8th one I got, and I couldn't believe she was beaten. But she's a massive player in the Mayor's Novice, and she will be loved better going back left-handed to me. So she's definitely a danger to Bambino Fever in the Mayor's Novice. Yeah, so they're the 3 to keep an eye out for the future.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that. She ran a huge race. I don't know how she was beaten, other than Ben Jones gave his horse an absolutely blinding ride. So fair play with that one. Breaking news. The Harry Cobden JP McManus role is now in doubt, and indeed may not go ahead at all after Harry Cobden won the juvenile hurdle by 3 1/4 lengths on a horse that was being lined up for the Fred Winter. You won too far, son. You won too far. That's not going to work. Faye Bramley trains Winston Jr. He was the most eye-catching runner of the entire weekend when he'd won. I think he finished second to Manila Study at Cheltenham at the December meeting. Comes out and duly lands the even money odds. Maybe he won by a little bit too far because the Fred Winter was very much there for him. As is the Fred Winter in line for Genealogy, who's owned by the same man. Justin Carthy is involved in the ownership of Winston Jr. with Ronnie Bartlett, and also involved in the ownership of Genealogy, who was useful on the flat Friday. O'Brien got within 6.5 lengths of Delacroix and stayed on very, very nicely. So if they can get him qualified for the Fred Winter, then he'll be intriguing. Winston Jr. is a fascinating one, and they threw him in the Triumph Hurdle, he wouldn't be out of place. But he's qualified for the Fred Winter now, and it'll be interesting to see what emerges. Willie Mullins has never won the Fred Winter, so maybe he'll have something, but he seems to be quiet enough with the exception of...
You sure bringing out the classics today, Kennedy, about horses that get beat at Cheltenham. Do you know what I mean? Willie Mullins not winning the Boodles. Thanks very much for reminding us again about another horse that costs us a lot of money. Like, oh man, Emmet, cheers, boy.
Yeah. Being at Punchestown and watching Brazil being sent off a 50-1 shot for a Pretemps qualifier on the day that Gaelic Warrior wins the John Durkin Memorial is like,
I know, crazy, isn't it?
How?
But I don't think Willie cares. I don't think Willie really.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah,
Willie actually.
Gaelic Warrior probably stung a bit, but the rest of it, I think he looks at it. If you think last year Willie had 10 in the Triumph, you're not telling me if he really cared about the Boodles, he couldn't have got one or two of those handicapped and run them in the Boodles. He couldn't give a monkeys.
Adam, Mercia was beaten in the Fred Winter and came out and won the Grade 1 at Aintree on her next start.
she was, but she was also beaten because the Fred Winter is just this like rugby scrum of a race where they're all jostling for position. They're all inexperienced horses. They all get in a fight. I mean, how many times do you see horses get massively gambled in the Fred Winter and it goes wrong? Yeah. Stents was a good example. Sent off a really short price and nowhere near good enough. Didn't happen. Gaelic Warrior bumped into Brazil. There are horses who come out of it. And then I think I'm right in saying only Jeff Kidder has actually come out and produced kind of a Grade 1 performance next time, having won the Fred Winter. I think that's right. It is just one of those races that just wait for the day. Have a look. I thought Jeff Kidder went to Fairyhouse.
Fairyhouse won the Grade 2 at Fairyhouse.
Did Sanctuary win the Grade 1 at Aintree?
No. Oh, no. I can't remember. He won the Boots, didn't he? And then
I wanted to wrap this up.
Boodles, you don't need to have a big bet in the Boodles. Just wait for the day because you until you've had all of the qualifying races, you just don't know. And what you'll find is there'll be one or two that run at the DRF.
Or just watch the race at Naas.
The race at Naas throws one up. I mean, Band of Outlaws was a good winner, but that's kind of the only real obvious plot that I've ever got the right side of. I mean, I've got one in mind trained by a certain Mr. C. Burns, who
really, Adam?
No, shapes to me like there's further improvement to come.
Sanctuary did not win the Grade 1 at Aintree, by the way. He was beaten. He was sent off favourite, but he was beaten 6 lengths by a horse called Orsipus? I don't remember that at all. I do remember having my balls on Sanctuary, though, in the Fred Winter. Yeah, it rarely works out. And they always back them into favouritism for the Grade 1 at Aintree. Anyway, that's it. That's it, folks. This was a really fun episode of the show. It went on way longer than I intended to. And we all ganged up on Adam there at one point and bashed him for him trying to defend the Jockey Club's decision-making process. And we're like, no, you're wrong! Sorry, Adam. I might have got a bit carried away there. Apologies. We'll send you a coffee or something.
Don't worry, he'll get us back.
Just because he expressed an opinion, it's like, how dare you?
Don't worry, because this time next year when it's 12 runs to qualify, I'll come back,
If you're trained in Ireland, you're not allowed to run.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. If you liked this episode, please smash the like button. It's much appreciated. If you liked it, also please hit the subscribe button. And if you didn't like it, just hit the like button anyway. It's a massive help to us with the algorithm. And smash the subscribe button as well. From Jaime Wrenn, from Adam Mills. The boys will be back this week. We're going to talk about the Triumph Hurdle. Paul Ferguson returns to the Final Furlong Podcast as well, ahead of the publication of the excellent Weatherby's Cheltenham Festival betting guide, which we will have an exclusive discount code for you. So we'll talk more about that during the week as well. I think we're going to look at Trials Day with him. And Weekend Preview, of course, is here as usual on the Thursday as well. Likes and shares are much appreciated for this episode of the show. The boys have given you their time. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun talking racing with them, as it always is, and indeed with you as well. Comments in the YouTube section are always welcome, and we always reply. Adam Mills, Jaime Wrenn, and me. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.
Thanks for spending some time with us on the Final Furlong Podcast. We're independent media, so if you like what we do, hit like, share, and subscribe. It's free, it's quick, and it genuinely helps. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more where that came from. Don't miss out. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major platforms, and join us on the gravy train. The Final Furlong Podcast. Independent, unfiltered, and powered by you.